Right now, somewhere in your house, your teenager is going to walk past you, say, "I'm fine," and go upstairs. And you're telling yourself it's a phase. It's not a phase. Somewhere in the last year, maybe the last few months, there was a single moment, maybe 4 seconds long. And in those 4 seconds, your teenager's brain made a decision about you. It filed you, not as the enemy, nothing that dramatic. It filed you under a single category, not safe to talk to. And here's the part that's going to bother you for the rest of this video. You were probably standing right there when it happened. And you don't remember it. He does. So this isn't going to be another video telling you to communicate more or just listen. You've heard that. It doesn't work. And in a few minutes, you'll understand exactly why it doesn't work. Instead, we're going to reverse engineer that moment, the actual one, where it happens, what it looks like, and it looks like almost nothing, and what's firing inside your teenager's brain while it does. And here's what nobody tells you about that moment. It's almost never the fight you think it is. When most parents try to find the moment, they go looking for a blow-up, the big fight, the slam door, the week nobody talked. But that's not where it lives. Because a blow-up is loud. It's an event. Both of you know it happened. You probably even repaired it a little. Someone apologized, dinner was awkward, then it passed. The moment we're talking about is the opposite of loud. Picture this. A few months ago, your teenager comes to you, and says something a little exposed, a little soft. Something like, "I've been thinking I might want to do animation, like for real." And you were tired, or distracted, or you'd had that day at work, and you said, let's be realistic though, and you went back to the dishes. That's it. That was the whole thing, a second and a half. You didn't yell, you didn't punish him. You'd probably swear on your life that nothing happened that day, because to you, nothing did. And that's exactly why you don't remember it. To you, it was a Tuesday. But to his brain, that second and a half was not small. Here's where it gets stranger. To understand what really happened in that kitchen, you have to understand that your teenager is not running the same brain you are. Lawrence Steinberg at Temple University spent decades on this, and one of the clearest findings in adolescent neuroscience is that the teenage brain develops out of order. The amygdala, the part that scans for threat, the alarm system, comes online early and runs hot. But the prefrontal cortex, the part that calms the alarm down and says, "Wait, it's fine. That's just mom being tired," that part isn't finished. It's still under construction, well into the 20s. So your teenager is walking around with a loud alarm and quiet breaks. Now add this. Researchers led by Todd Hare in B.J. Casey's lab at Weill Cornell watched teenage brains respond to emotional faces inside an fMRI scanner. And the teenage amygdala lit up harder to those faces than an adult's did, while the region that's supposed to dial it back stayed quiet. A tiny expression on your face, the eye roll, the half-second sigh, doesn't read as small to him. It reads as loud. And it gets more specific than that. Leah Somerville at Harvard ran a study where teenagers were told they were being watched on a video feed during a brain scan. Just watched. And compared to both children and adults, the teenagers showed more embarrassment, and their bodies reacted more. You could measure it in their sweat, in the skin itself. Think about what that means. To the teenage brain, being observed, being evaluated, isn't neutral. It's a physical threat state. The body treats "someone is judging me" the way it would treat actual danger. So here's the alarm system. Think of it like a home security system that got tripped once. After that, it doesn't go back to sleep. It stays armed. It keeps watching that one door, and every time you walk past it, it checks you again. That "let's be realistic" wasn't stored as a comment. It was stored as a reading. Threat detected at this location. Vulnerability is not safe here. And I know that sounds extreme for a kitchen conversation. So go back with me. 200,000 years. For almost all of human history, the entire job of adolescence was to pull away from your parents and move toward the group, the tribe. And in a tribe, the single most important thing you could track was who is safe and who will humiliate me in front of everyone. Getting that wrong wasn't embarrassing. It was dangerous. It could cost you your place, and your place was your survival. Your teenager isn't being dramatic. He's running 200,000-year-old software that treats social safety exactly like physical safety. And that software just flagged the person standing at the sink. Which raises the obvious question. If the door got filed shut, why can't you just talk your way back in? Why Democrats more talking fix it? Before I answer that, and the answer is the whole reason this is fixable. If any of this is landing, if you're recognizing your own kitchen right now, do me one favor and subscribe. Because in the second half of this video, I'm going to give you the exact move that reopens that channel. And the one move, the one that feels like fixing it, that locks it tighter instead. Okay, where were we? Right, why you can't talk your way back in. Here's what most parents do the second they feel the door close. They talk more. Son. They ask more questions. How was school? Who were you with? Why won't you talk to me anymore? And it makes total sense. If the problem is silence, the fix is words, right? Except that's the trap. Because the thing that closed wasn't a conversation. It was something underneath the conversation. Two researchers, Håkan Stettin and Margaret Kerr, ran what's now one of the most cited studies in all of parenting science. And they asked a simple question. How do parents actually know what's going on in their teenager's life? And the answer surprised everybody. It wasn't the parents who asked the most questions. It wasn't the parents with the most rules or the tightest control. By far, the strongest predictor of what a parent actually knew was one thing: whether the teenager chose to tell them. Voluntary disclosure. The kid deciding, on his own, to open up. The asking, the tracking, the controlling, barely moved the needle. Some of it made things worse. Let that sink in because it flips the whole thing. You cannot pull information out of a teenager. You can only create the conditions where he hands it to you. And there's a companion finding here that stings a little. Brian Barber's work on what's called psychological control. That's the cold response, the disappointed face, the withdrawal of warmth when your kid says something you don't like, showed that this specific move suppresses disclosure. One cold reaction teaches the brain to filter next time, which is exactly what "let's be realistic" was, a small, cold response to a soft, exposed thing. So think of it like a safe that only opens from the inside. You can stand outside it with the best key ever made, the perfect question, the heart-to-heart you rehearsed in the car, and it does nothing. Because there's no keyhole on your side. The handle is in there with him. More talking isn't a key. Sometimes it's just knocking harder on a door that locks from the other side. So the verdict sticks. But why does it stick so hard when you've had 100 good moments with him since then? Movie nights, laughing in the car. Why doesn't all of that just overwrite one tired Tuesday? This is one of the most important things you'll ever understand about the human brain. Not just your teenagers, yours too. In 2001, a team led by Roy Baumeister published a paper in the Review of General Psychology with a title that says the whole thing: Bad is stronger than good. They went looking across hundreds of studies, relationships, feedback, memory, first impressions, for any place where good outweighs bad. They barely found one. Across the board, negative events are processed more deeply, remembered more durably, and, this is the key part, they're far more resistant to being overwritten. The brain writes the bad stuff in permanent marker and the good stuff in pencil. So those 100 good moments, they're real. He felt them, but they're written in pencil. And that one moment of feeling dismissed when he was exposed, That got carved in. Not because he's holding a grudge, because his survival brain tagged it as important data. And important data doesn't get erased by a fun car ride. And this closes the loop I opened at the very start. Remember I said you don't remember the moment, but he does? This is why. To you, it was written in pencil, a forgettable Tuesday. To him, the same 4 seconds got carved in permanent marker. You're not remembering different versions of the moment. You're remembering it in 2 completely different materials. You both were there. Only one of you kept the file. Which brings us to the most important part of this video. Because the thing most parents do next, the thing that feels like fixing it, actually locks the door even harder. Here's the warning. When a parent feels that door close, there are 3 moves they almost always reach for. And every one of them backfires. The first is interrogation. More questions, more pointed. Where were you? Who were you with? Why are you being like this? To his threat system, that's not connection. That's a security guard demanding papers. Alarm confirmed. The second is the guilt trip. Why won't you talk to me anymore? After everything I do for you. This one feels like reaching out. But to him, it's proof that opening up now comes with a bill attached. Vulnerability just got more expensive. And the third is cornering, forcing the conversation. We are going to sit down and talk about this right now. You just took the one thing his brain needs, an exit, and removed it. The alarm doesn't get quieter when it's trapped. It gets louder. Every one of these says the same thing to his nervous system. I was right. This place is not safe to be soft in. So what actually works? What reopens the safe that only opens from the inside? For that, I want to introduce you to the work of Edward Tronick. Decades ago, he ran something called the still face experiment. A mother plays warmly with her baby, then goes blank. No expression. And the baby works frantically to bring her back. Smiles, reaches, cries. Because disconnection registers as an emergency, even in infancy. But here's the finding that matters for you. Tronick found that even the healthiest, most securely bonded parent and child are actually in sync less than half the time. Most of the relationship is small misses, small ruptures. And what makes the bond secure isn't avoiding those misses. That's impossible. It's the repair that comes after. Reliable repair is the whole thing. So you don't have to rebuild the whole bridge. You don't need the big talk. You don't need to fix it in one dramatic conversation. That's the interrogation in a nicer costume. You just have to show up on his side of the bridge again, quietly, with no agenda, no question attached. It looks almost boring. You sit near him while he games, and you don't ask about school. You leave the food he likes without a lecture. You say one honest sentence. Hey, I actually think the animation thing is cool. I shut that down too fast a while back. And then you leave it. You don't wait for a reaction. You're not trying to open the safe. You're proving, one quiet appearance at a time, that the room is safe again. And the threat system rescores you the same way it scored you the first time. Slowly, through evidence. Presence, not pressure. That's the repair. So let's go back to that kitchen. Your teenager walks past you, says, I'm fine, heads upstairs. At the start of this video, that looked like a locked door. It isn't. It's a question. It's the same question his brain has been asking every single time he walks past you since that Tuesday. Is it safe now?
What are you doing?
The door was never locked. It was just waiting to see who you'd be the next time he walked by. He's not gone. He's watching for the answer. Make sure the next few times you're the answer he's hoping for. Now, reopening that door is one thing. Keeping it open is another. Because there are 10 sentences that quietly close it again. Small ones. The kind that sound completely harmless. And most parents say a few of them every single day without ever knowing. I'll show you the first one and why it shuts him down in under a second in the next video.